What are some weird NSFW historical facts? Some lady got off of a death penalty in ancient Greece by flashing her tits. I remember the case, although not well. If I'm correct, it was her lawyer who laid bare those particular pieces of evidence. The ancient Greeks believed that the gods showed certain mortals favor by bestowing them with abnormal gifts. Extreme beauty was one of them. She argued that she couldn't have possibly murdered that priest, or else the gods would revoke their gift. And clearly, Flash's tits, they hadn't. Napoleon, in traditional French manner, wrote some steamy love letters to his wife Josephine. They include such phrases, translated as "you're a naughty, gawky, foolish slut and don't bathe. I'm coming home. Don't bathe. I'm coming home." He was talking dirty to his wife. He was talking to his dirty wife. The oldest known objects that were probably sex toys were made out of stone and animal dung circa 30k years ago. The oldest known objects that were definitely sex toys were an atomically shaped jade and bronze dildo / butt plugs dating back 2000 to 3000 years. Animal dung, that doesn't sound like a good idea. 30k years ago was very well known for their medical technology. No clue how this got through their extensive health screening process to get to production lines. Queen Victoria put erotic portraits of herself in Prince Albert's casket. Yes, that means she had someone paint erotic portraits of herself. That fun fact led me down a long Victoria rabbit hole where I read multiple biographies, and she became one of my favorite people in history. She was selfish, immature, insecure, and codependent, but she grows on you after a while. She kept incredibly detailed diaries too, but her daughter Beatrice burned them all, which is an absolute travesty. She kept incredibly detailed diaries too, but her daughter Beatrice burned them all, which is an absolute travesty. The 19th century version of delete my internet history when I die. Famed comedian Milton Berle was rumored to have an enormous penis. When asked about it by Howard Stern, Milt famously replied, "I'll tell you what, we'll see whose is bigger. You take yours out, and I'll only take out enough to win." The ancient Greeks and Romans used a plant called silphium as a natural contraceptive. If a woman consumed the resin regularly, she would not get pregnant. If she stopped taking it, though, the effects wore off. From what we can tell, it was almost as effective as modern pharmaceutical birth control. The Romans used it so much that they made it go extinct. We are not even quite sure the exact identity of the plant, i.e. genus and species. The Romans used it so much that they made it go extinct. Nice. Mary Shelley lost her virginity on her mother's grave. This is Gothaf. Frankenstein written by Big Titty Goth GF confirmed. Lord Byron would keep pubic hair of women he slept with as a souvenir. Ow. WTF. To remember you by, my dear. Ptolemy VIII of Egypt was married to both his sister and his niece at the same time. Cheating bastard. In a NASA-funded attempt to teach dolphins the English language, a male dolphin lived with a female trainer and was given LSD on multiple occasions, as well as being sexually pleasured by the female trainer. The dolphin later killed itself because he was taken from his love, the female trainer. The world was a weird place. What exactly are they expecting the dolphin to say? More handjobs? The Welsh didn't actually have relations with sheep nearly as much as the records show. When Wales joined the United Kingdom, they found a loophole in the laws regarding sheep. If you were caught stealing a sheep, your hand was cut off. If you were caught having relations with a sheep, just your finger was. So lots of sheep thieves just said they were sheep lovers to avoid the harsher punishment. Yeah, right, call bullshit. Because I asked a Welsh man how many romantic partners he's had. He started counting and fell asleep. Romania searches for Scooby-Doo porn more than any other country. Sounds like it's probably one guy who is like really into Scooby porn and is skewing the numbers. Like spiders gearg. The stethoscope was invented because a doctor was tired of getting embarrassed putting his ear on some big old titties to hear heartbeats/lungs. Actually, he was uncomfortable doing that with young/early teen girls, which is more reasonable. Benjamin Franklin had a bunch of hoes. He specially liked old ladies because you can bust a nut in them and they won't get pregnant. Albert Einstein ditched his wife to sleep with his cousin. So he really did have a thing for relativity. Lyndon B. Johnson was really into whipping out his dick, allegedly even slapping it on the table to assert dominance. Gandhi was famously immune to desire. He tested himself by laying naked with young girls. From a migration standpoint, learn through anthropology, Scandinavians are a very separate group from other Europeans. Yet most Europeans will show up as partially Scandinavian in a DNA test. Those Vikings really put the rape in rape and pillage. That young girl was Gandhi's niece. So there was a female Polish king, Jadwiga. She married a Lithuanian Grand Duke Władysław Jgo. She must have been a really nice catch, since he had to give up his pagan spouses for her. And one of sources I read long ago said that he had to give up 9 women for her. He basically gave up his own harem, just to bang young Polish king. Edit. Yes, she was a king. It's some historical bullshit about being ruler of Poland instead of spouse of ruler of Poland. In 1899, sitting French President Félix IV died in the company of his much younger lover, Marguerite Steenhiel, which caused an enormous sex scandal in France, which, by itself, is somewhat of an impressive feat. The French rumor mill being what it is, it eventually was suggested that IV was receiving a blowjob when he had the stroke that killed him, which is somewhat less ironic than it would have been if Steenhiel had been stroking him off at the time, but never mind. Later Prime Minister Georges Clemenceau's line has become pretty well known. I'll vow later to Kaiser, I'll northeast fuck Pompey. For non-French speakers, it has a double meaning. Either he wanted to be Caesar, but ended up as Pompey, or he wanted to be Caesar, but ended up being blown. Pompa is a French word meaning to fellet. Occasionally it is reported that IV died while inside a French prostitute and had to be surgically removed from her, but there's zero actual evidence for this. Instead, we'll just have to make do with blowjob jokes. In the 18th and 19th centuries, animal intestines were used as condoms by young couples. Not exactly the most effective, but they tried. It works better if you take them out of the animal first. Catherine the Great of Russia had a lot of young artist/intellectual lovers until her death. My professor who specializes in Russian history describes it as giving a whole new meaning to come to mama. Catherine used romance as a way of advancing her political agenda. Seduce a young prince who is next in line for the throne, only to realize he cares more for toys than you. No heir? Nothing a little extramarital deviation won't fix. The king is now threatening you with imprisonment. Seduce the king's guard and overthrow your husband. There was a Roman god Hermaphroditus who had both male and female parts, and is where we get the modern word hermaphrodite. Even had a cult, so wasn't a minor god. I was kind of surprised about this, because I took Latin for many years in school and was super into Greco-Roman mythology, but had never heard about this god before. Not until I visited the secret room in the Naples Archaeological Museum, which is basically where they put all the rated X stuff they found in Pompeii. So if you want to see some penis lamps, frescoes from a brothel showing sex acts patrons could ask for, and some goat/pansex, definitely go hit it up. So, here's the myth for those interested. Hermaphroditus was, unsurprisingly, the son of Hermes/Mercury and Aphrodite/Venus. He grew up cared for by dryads, and was supposedly very shy and beautiful. One day, at the age of 15, he met the nymph Psalmacis bathing. She fell in love with him, and attempted to seduce him, but only succeeded in making him uncomfortable, until he ran off. He went further downstream, and decided to bathe, but as he began, Psalmacis ambushed and attempted to rape him. As he tried to get free, Psalmacis called up to the gods, asking them to make sure they remained together as one. The gods responded with their usual twisted sense of humor. So technically speaking, Hermaphroditus is also a nymph named Psalmacis. In nature, a male presented with multiple receptive sexual partners will show renewed interest for new partners, but not for old ones. This effect is named after US President Calvin Coolidge. As the story goes, the president and Mrs. Coolidge were being shown, separately, around an experimental government farm. When Mrs. Coolidge came to the chicken yard, she noticed that a rooster was mating very frequently. She asked the attendant how often that happened and was told dozens of times each day. Mrs. Coolidge said Tell that to the president when he comes by. Upon being told, the president asked, same hen every time. The reply was, oh, no, Mr. President, a different hen every time. President, tell that to Mrs. Coolidge. I feel like this joke is older than Coolidge. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe.